morning, all you happy hookers. You've got Sammy. Today we're going to be completing the Amazing Grace Square as part of our 365 Granny Square a Day Crochet Along project. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. This is a really cute square. Let's get started. So I've just done a chain of 5, slip stitched together to make a ring, and done a chain of 3 to bring our yarn out. I'm going to do 15 double crochet around the ring, so including our chain of 3 to start, that'll be 16 double crochet. Of course, you always have the option of doing the magic ring to start instead of a chain and slip stitch. So it is going to be quite tight in here. We've done our chain of 3, we're going to do 15 double crochet, so including the chain of 3 it will be 16 double crochet around the ring for round 1. I'm going to be finishing off with this colour at the end of that round. I will meet you back here ready to do round 2 with a second colour. See you shortly. Okay, we're back. We've worked our 15 double crochet and chain of 3, so 16 stitches into our ring. I've finished off with the first colour and I've just joined my second on with a slip stitch. We're going to chain 3, and work 3 double crochet into the same stitch. We're going to keep this last loop on our hook. We're not going to send it off, so it's a little bit different. So we're going to work 3 double crochet, keeping that on there. Again, we've kept the last loop from that last one. Here's our third. Keeping the last loop from each stitch there. Then we're going to yarn over and draw through all 4. So that's the beginning puff stitch. I'm going to chain 3. Skip 1 stitch and work another puff into here. So that will be 4 double crochet, but holding back the last loop on each stitch. So there's 1, 2, oh dear, sorry, I've just got a little tangle. There we go. That's 2. Dropped my loop. 3. So we've got 4 loops left on our hook. Yarn over, pull it through. No, my apologies. 2, 3, 4. then we're going to yarn over. So we've got 4 double crochet, we've got the last loop of each 4 stitches on our hook. Going to yarn over, pull through all of them, chain 3, skip a stitch, and then begin again with 4 double crochet, leaving our last loop of each stitch on the hook. Hard to break the habit, isn't it? 2, 3, and 4, yarn over and pull through all of them, chain 3, skip 1, and begin with another puff stitch. So we're going to continue with that pattern all the way around with the puff stitch and a skipped stitch in between each. At the end of this round you will have 8 puffs. I am going to leave you there so you can follow that pattern all the way around back to the beginning. The end, obviously, we'll finish with a chain 3 to join with a slip stitch into the top of our original chain of 3. I'll meet you all back here in a moment with 8 little puff stitches. Thank you. Alright, we're back. We have 8 cute little puffs. You might need to pop through. As the square grows, they will sit a little more puffy and the chain a little looser. So I've joined on over here into our starting chain 3, and then I've slip stitched over to a chain 3 space. I've done a chain of 3 so I can begin working puffs into the chain 3 space of the previous round. So we're going to work a puff here, a chain of 3, and then 3 double crochet, remembering to keep our last stitch on the hook. We're actually going to work, there's our first one, some puff clusters. So chain 3, then we're going to work another puff into the same chain space, and we're going to do that all the way around. So each chain 3 space of the previous round will have a puff cluster, which is a cluster, a chain of 3, and another cluster. So let's get this first one finished, remembering to keep that final loop on our hook for each double crochet that builds the cluster. 2, 3, and 4. Through all of them. Now we don't do any chain space between the clusters. We just start into the next chain 3 space with a puff. 1, 2, 3. If you're not liking the big full puffs, you could always just use 3 double crochet instead of 4. I like them big and puffy, so I'm going to stick with 4. So this is our second cluster. So we've done the first puff stitch, chain 3, and then into the same chain 3 space of the previous round with our second puff. 2, 3, and 4. As we go around, you'll be able to pop them out so they're nice and puffy. So just continue with the puff clusters all the way around back to the beginning. Finishing off, when we finish our last cluster, we will slip stitch into the 3rd chain that we started the row with. I'll see you all shortly. Thank you. Okay, lovelies, we are back and ready to get on to round 3. So we've got 8 little puffs with chain 3 spaces in between them for round 2. I've just, hopefully you can see it clearly. This is where we joined up our last stitch into the original starting chain of 3. I've just slip stitched across there to the next chain 3 space and done a chain of 3 to start our 3rd round. We're going to be working puffs again. So remembering to keep that last loop on our hook until the end of the puff stitch. This round is actually going to consist of puff clusters. So we're going to be working a second puff into the same chain 3 space. So there's our first puff. We're going to chain 3. And then we're going to work our second puff into the same chain 3 space. 1, 2, I like my puffs really puffy, so mine consist of 4 double crochet. If you didn't want them as puffy, 3 would work just as well. There we go, there's our second puff. So we've got 2 puffs separated by a chain of 3 in that chain space. I'm going to chain 3. And then do the same into the next chain 3 space. So our 2 puffs with a chain of 3 is a puff cluster for this round, and we're going to work a puff cluster into every chain 3 space from round 2. There's 1, chain of 3 to separate, and then a second one into the same chain space. Three, 4, and our second one finishes the cluster, chain 3, and begin working into the next one. So I think you guys can continue that all the way around, slip stitching into the 3rd chain at the beginning, and I'm going to be finishing off this color after this round and incorporating a 3rd color. I'll meet you back here soon. Okay, lovely people, I am back. We finished off round 3. We have 16 pretty little puff stitches, each separated with a chain of 3. I've finished off with my pink on that round and incorporating a 3rd color. So I've just joined into a chain 3 space with a slip stitch and completed 1 puff stitch. Now I am going to pull this loop up a little because we've got our favourite Bullion stitch. And I'm going to be using a latch hook. So I don't know if you haven't seen one before. It has a little latch that opens and closes. And it is a little bit of a game changer for Bullion. It makes it so much easier. So I'm going to put that in. I'm not going to pull it too tightly. The Bullion is going to be worked into the next chain 3 space, and it's going to be a 10 yarn over Bullion, so you want to keep it fairly loose. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is how we attach it. I'm going to open my latch, insert into the chain 3 space, and pull up my loop. You see the latch has closed as I've done that and popped back open again. So we'll close that up, keep our yarn at the end. With the latch closed, sorry, I'm drifting off camera. With the latch closed, we can easily slide through our 10 yarn overs. And pull it. Oh, one's a little bit loose there. That's all right. It will all work out. So we've done our 10 yarn over Bullion. I'm going to chain 1. Now, up to you if you want to use your latch or change over. So we've done a 10. Now we're going to do a yarn over of 15. These are all going to be worked into the 1 chain space. All worked in exactly the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ooh, those last two are a little tight. 13, 14, 15. As I said, nice and loose. Just makes it easier for us to pull it through at the end. So with the 15 held on there with my finger, I'm going to go through the chain 3, pull up a loop, close my latch, and start working those 15 yarn overs off my hook. And there we go, we've got our second one. Chain of 1. See the latch closes and opens pretty much of its own accord as you go to pull through. So another yarn over 15, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Once we've got 15 on, go through, pull up a loop, and as soon as I bring it up, that pops back open. Get back in there, close the latch, and then pull through the 15 yarn overs to complete our second yarn over 15 Bullion. Okay, we have one more of 15. Just going to pull some wool so that it doesn't pull too tightly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now you don't have to use a latch hook. It is just showing you another option for the Bullion stitch. I've caught my pink there. Get off. Try that again. 15 on the hook is a lot. There we go. Got it, and it's popped open. Back through there. pull through the 15. So the latch hook is very different. It does take a little bit of getting used to. You can see the couple of those are a bit tighter and I'm having to really work them through. Chain of 1 to finish. Okay, our last bullion for this corner. Each corner will have the same pattern for the remainder of this square. Is another 10 yarn over bullion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Pulling it up, closing the latch. And then working it through those 10. As I said, that is our last bullion for that corner. Mine I have been quite generous with, so they are a bit loose and puffy. As you work the square, they will even out and sit quite nicely. Now we're back to some cluster stitches, so I'm going to take my latch hook out because I don't like working normal stitches with it. It's a little bit finicky. After that, we're going to work a puff into the next chain 3 space. So we've just done the chain of 1 to finish off the bullion. Next chain 3 space gets a puff stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And finish our puff. Chain 3. Working a puff into the next chain space. So this will be the side of our square. Three, 4, finish our puff. So you can see how the bullion formed the corner and our clusters formed the side. Excuse me. We're going to do another chain of 3. And we're going to work another puff stitch into the next chain 3 space, but we're coming up to our next corner. So if you want to follow along with the video, go back about 8 minutes and 50 seconds, 9 minutes, and you'll be starting here. If you think you've got this from here, get cracking. Another puff stitch in this chain 3 space and then bullions into the following to form the next corner. I hope I have demonstrated that latch hook nice and clearly for you all. I do have another one coming up later this week, and of course we're always online to answer any questions. So following exactly as we did, our third cluster is the start of our corner. Third puff stitch rather is the start of our corner. So we work a puff stitch, we chain 3, and then we move on to our bullion. You guys continue around making your remaining 3 sides and corners. We finish off obviously with the slip stitch into the starting chain of our first cluster over here. I'll see you all soon so that we can complete round 5 and start squaring up properly. Okay, we're back. We survived the bullion. Woo! So we've got that gorgeous round of bullion and puff. I have finished off with the green and joined my first colour in, just with a slip stitch into the top of the centre bullion stitch. Chain of 1. And then into the same stitch I'm going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2 and 3. And I'm going to work a single crochet into the space between the bullions. And a second. Oh, no, sorry, just one there, one into the next. And then I'm going to work a single crochet between the final bullion and the puff stitch. I'm going to single crochet into the puff stitch. Then we're going to do 2 into the chain space between the puff stitch, 1 into the puff stitch, 2 into the chain space between, 1 into the puff stitch. We're back to a corner, so we're going to do a single crochet between the puff and the bullion stitch, 1 in the space between the bullion stitch, 1 in the space between. We're back to our corner, which is the 3rd bullion of the set. And we're going to work 3 single crochet into the top of that stitch. Is there 1, 2 and 3, and then we're back to single crocheting in the spaces down the side. So 1 there between them, 1 between the bullion, 1 between the bullion and the puff, 1 in the puff, 2 in the chain space between the puff, 1, 2, 1 in the puff, 2 in the chain space between our puff stitches, 1 in the puff, and we're back, 1 in the puff stitch, and we're back to our corner again. So if you're wanting to follow along with the video, you can go back around 3 minutes to follow along with that. Otherwise, just continue with those single crochet all the way around in the same pattern format as we have for the previous 2 corners and sides until we get back to the beginning. We're joining up with a slip stitch, and I'm not finishing off. I'm going to continue the remainder of the rounds in white. And back again, gorgeous people. We've finished that round of single crochet. Now I'm working the same color while my wool's stuck in a box. I'm just going to slip stitch over to the center single crochet of the previous round. So right into the corner. Remember, we worked 3 into that, 3 single crochet into the top of the middle bullion stitch, and you can see now that we're squaring off, hopefully, just how much texture they have in the square. Mine are quite puffy, just like me. Slip stitch into the corner. We're going to chain 3, do 2 double crochet into the same stitch, 1 and 2. So this is really bringing us to size and squaring off. Chain 2, and then we're going to do another 3 double crochet into that corner stitch. So more defined, pointy corners, just the way I like them. 2, whoops, come back, 2 and 3. Hold Hold on. My wool is literally stuck in a box. Come out. Not anymore, it isn't. There we go. Okay, so that's our first corner. We're going to double crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that takes us away to the last of our bullion stitch and the finish of our corner. Next 7 stitches are half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Working back around our bullion corner. So double crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then we'll be back to our corner, which of course is 3 double crochet, 2 chain, and 3 double crochet. I'm sure you guys can finish off this round. If you want to follow along with the video, of course, and listen to my lovely nasal voice, please go back about 3.5 minutes, and you'll be at the start of our first corner. Have fun with those double crochet. We have one final round after this, so I'll meet you back here shortly. Okay, gorgeous people, final round, and it's all single crochet. So super easy. I'm going to do one into this slip stitch I just did to join. Our only variation is when we get to our corner chain space, and then we're going to do 4 single crochet. I really hope that you have found this video helpful. If you have enjoyed it or found it in any way helpful, please hit that like button. The more likes we get, the more people will find our videos, the more happy hookers we can create. And we all know how much I love a happy hooker. I hope you all have a fantastic day and you really enjoy working up this square. I'll see you next time. Thanks again.